Good evening. It is Tuesday, December 20th, 6 p.m. Call this meeting of the North Brookfield Board of Selectmen to order. If you'll all rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business is the approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve executive session minutes of December 15th.
That's you guys.
So moved.
I'll second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve payroll warrant number 13 for $374,949.25. General warrant number 1032 for $85,030.97. And school warrant number 1031 for $61,715.94.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Old business. Appoint Brandon Avery to Downtown Development Committee. I'll entertain a motion to appoint Brandon Avery to the Downtown Development Committee.
Second. So moved.
I'm not gonna second that because I still have an issue with the DDC.
Well, you second it, right? And then we're gonna
Second to
discuss.
discuss it.
Second.
All right, so discussion.
I still have an issue with the DDC because of the way they acted with the sidewalk thing going on.
Okay.
But I feel like we determined after some discussion that it wasn't the DDC that had the issue, it was BSC group.
Working along with the Downtown Development Committee, in my mind. So I don't wanna put anybody else on that committee if the committee may not be functioning after we have a meeting with them. Because we were supposed to have a meeting with them and they didn't show up for some reason.
No, we asked them not to come.
What?
Because we were waiting to get to the bottom of things with BSC group.
And we haven't got to the bottom
I
yet.
have been sent a contract, I have not had a chance to review it yet.
Well, then I don't see a reason to put, and nothing against Brandon, but I don't wanna put anybody on a committee that may not be around in the future.
I don't see any reason to not put him on a committee. I mean, regardless.
And that, you can do
Yeah.
that, but this is my thoughts, and I won't go with it, so.
So what are they working on at the moment? Are they not working on anything right now, or?
Right now, they're waiting for the BSC group contract to come through. However, I do think they're still working towards grant funding on the next steps or the plans. Do you know for sure, Brandon? I don't remember exactly from the last meeting.
Well, they have to get, this project going before they can go on to apply for a grant for the next phase of the project.
Right.
So it's, it's all in phases. I think it's about 4 phases and
Yeah.
somewhere around $400,000 a phase. So they have to get this one going in order to proceed and get the funding for next phases.
Yeah.
They also want to do a downtown parking study and,
So,
things
so,
like that.
Yeah, and they wanna.
so those grants, where do they, are they facilitated by the state or CMRPC or?
They come from the state, the Complete Streets grants.
Right, but it goes through, they go directly through the state?
Yeah. So it's kind of a question of, they don't get this one going, they'll probably lose all of them, which is kind of a lot of money.
Yeah, right now they have 600,000 secured for this particular project. So I feel like that's a lot of work that one committee did, and I don't think it would be fair to disband them or stop their forward motion.
Also add that being on the planning board, I thought it'd be a good idea to have somebody from the planning board involved in the DCC,
I agree.
so
Mhm.
that's one of my thoughts on that.
Especially when it comes to process, if that's the concern, if the concern is process, having somebody on planning board and even master plan committee, it makes sense to have you in that group, I think.
So I guess it all depends on whether or not they're gonna keep moving forward, and that's all determined basically on whether or not this grant contract gets moved forward, because, you know, the engineer did work without a signed contract, and now he's asking us to go back and sign something that
Right.
somebody somewhere might have given them approval for, but we don't have any information regarding that or a signed contract. So I'm not sure appointing someone to a committee that may or may not be doing work in the near future. However, I don't know if, maybe we should just table it until we're done with the figuring out what's going on with this contract nonsense.
There's also.
Because if they can't do they're not gonna do anything until then.
There's also the question of if the DCC gets disbanded, is anybody gonna pick?
Well, we didn't talk about disbanding them yet.
Well, who's gonna
It's
pick
been
up that?
Well,
that
what we're
work?
talking about is whether or not we should appoint anybody to a committee that's not gonna be doing any work until we get this contract issue resolved. Right?
Well, I don't know, I mean, are we telling them that they can't do any more work? Because there are other things that I know that they have talked about, like creating a small business association, doing downtown studies as far as retail studies go. So I would hate to see them have to stop completely.
They have to stop spending the town's money like they did. And if any of those studies cost the town money, they need to stop, because they're an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. They have no authority to do anything other than look for the grants and advise us, the board. That's how they were
Right.
created last year. And
Yes.
when they went ahead and started doing all this stuff with BSC, and they did, because there's proof of emails and texts and stuff that the DDC was going back and forth and not informing the Board of Selectmen on what was going on, and then we got a bill for thousands of dollars on engineering that BSC did with no contract. That they should have known not to do, BSC group, and regardless, you can
Yeah.
point fingers all you want, but between the two of them, they kept going with the project and weren't letting the Board of Selectmen, weren't advising us.
I
And
don't
we
think
have
they were getting
nothing-
a lot of advisement either, that's my,
We have nothing, they can come to our meetings, they're supposed to advise us, not us go to them, and they were told that before.
All right. Well,
anyway.
I think that, I think we should table this for now, and, we'll come back to it later, after we get the contract situation settled. All right. Next, Ian and Chris.
Hi, it's just Chris this evening. Good evening, my name's Chris Dunphy. I'm a principal planner at Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, and I'm here to talk about the Community Development Block Grant Program. So with CMRPC's assistance, North Brookfield is presently operating under 3 different fiscal years through the Community Development Block Grant Program, FY19, FY20, and FY21. First and foremost, FY19 is really just about done. The grant provided funding for a lot of housing rehabilitation projects in the town, and it also provided for a comprehensive infrastructure planning study in what we call the West Side neighborhood over there. And the West Side neighborhood thing is long since been done, but the housing rehab just keeps on plodding along at a very slow pace for a variety of reasons. So there's only one little housing project that remains in that particular grant, and we contemplating recommending that we actually move that client into 20 and just close it out. But we'd be leaving money on the table that we might be able to use or move over into another activity if we extend. So just before the meeting, I provided an extension request for the town to sign so we could get it into the state and buy ourselves 6 months more of time to figure it all out, whether we want to just close it, transfer the money, try to wrap up that project, so on and so forth. So that's the FY19 grant, of which we're advising the town seek an extension to the DHCD through June 30th.
Is that for one project that's outstanding,
Well,
or?
there is just one project that remains of many
Yeah.
that are done, and there was this one that's not quite done. And we thought about maybe moving it so we could just close the grant, but then we'd be putting money on the table, as I said, so I think it's best at this point in time that we ask for the extension, because
Sure.
that is no harm, and then we figure it out after the extension is granted. And I think you might be aware of the project in question, but it's a long lingering housing rehab activity.
How many people how many
Oh, gosh.
projects have we done in North Brookfield?
If Ian was here, he could tell you that. I want to say about a dozen, that's a
Okay.
guess.
Okay, cool.
Yep, so-
Don't we do some with other towns?
Well, so the next grant is the FY20 grant, and that's a regional grant with the town of Brookfield.
Okay.
And that particular grant is, again, funding a bunch of housing rehabilitation activity, of which there's been minimal activity at this point in time. For reasons of staff changes, there's been, tragically, there's been some death that occurred with a housing rehab specialist, another housing rehab specialist at Flint, and lack of contractors, lack of supplies. So the list of excuses goes on in terms of why we're not really progressing with that particular housing rehab program. But I guess it is beginning to gain traction. So you will soon see contracts land on your desk to sign to move some projects forward under the guidance of a new housing rehab specialist that has recently been hired. So it's finally beginning to gain traction. So the housing rehab with the town of Brookfield is one of the activities in that program. And the other activity is largely why I'm here tonight is the North Brookfield Senior Center Improvement Project. And we'll swing back to that, but while I'm on a roll, I'll just go to the FY21. So the FY21 sort of shifted gears. We're putting a pause on housing rehab until we can catch up, and we're focusing on infrastructure. So the project picked for infrastructure improvements was Mount Pleasant Street, and this is an outgrowth of the planning study that was done, which identified the needs for improvements on Mount Pleasant Street, as well as other streets in that neighborhood. But Mount Pleasant Street was the street that was chosen because it was ready to go. We had an income survey that qualified it, and it needed a new water main, so that's the FY21 grant. It's all focused on replacing a water main on Mount Pleasant Street, and to my understanding, Ian has completed the environmental review. So the next step he's going to do is work with the town to structure a request for qualifications to hire a design firm, and we'll get that project launched. If I had to guess, the design should be wrapped up pretty quick. I'm saying by the spring, and you could probably see construction bids go out by late spring. That's an estimate.
And that's what this
It's just a
is.
water main, that's the 19.
Okay,
Yeah. So as it's just a water main, if I had to guess, based on my experience, those go pretty quick. I would venture a guess, if the supplies and materials are available, which has been problematic, across the country, really, with the supply of ductile iron water mains. But if they're available, this project could probably be wrapped up by the fall.
I thought we were doing everything when you come down the street, water main, sewer,
Well, that was the goal,
sidewalks.
but there wasn't enough money in the grant to do the street comprehensively. You're restricted to a certain amount within the grant, so phase one would be the water main, and then the next grant application would be all the surface improvements and the drainage and
Okay,
the
because
sidewalk.
I thought we had decided that last year on, but if you say the money's not there. then-
Yeah, I mean, you're restricted to a cap from these grants, and there just simply wasn't adequate funds in one fiscal year to do the whole street comprehensively. So unfortunately, it will have to be phased. Phase one would be the installation of the water main.
Yeah.
And then some of the lateral connections, and then in subsequent phases would be the full completion of the street and drainage systems and the sidewalk. And I'm reasonably confident that will be a grant that will be funded once we get to it.
Mhm.
You know? So that's the FY '21. Now circling back to the FY '20 in the North Brookfield Senior Center project, we had a bid, but it's just absurdly high. You know, for reasons that I can, supply chain, demand for contractors, demand for labor, the list goes on and on and on, but, you know, we thought it was gonna be like a $220,000 project, you know, involving the roof, the flooring, you know, in a new entryway that the ARPA committee was recommending, and it came in at $350,000.
Yeah.
So I'm here tonight to talk to the board and sort of banter about some thoughts on how we could move forward with this particular project. You know, whether now is maybe, so we thought it would be helpful to the bid if we made it a bigger project, using CDBG funds, ARPA funds, make it a bigger project, you know, and make it, you know, the scale better, but that did not work. So I guess what I was thinking, you know, and again, you know, to take whatever guidance the board has, that we go ahead and separate them at this point in time and just focus on the CDBG aspect, which was intended, the CDBG as written was going to address the new roof and the flooring system of the North Brookfield Senior Center project. As part of the bid, the roof came in as a sub-bid, because this had to be a full invitation for bids, right? Involving a DCAM certification and sub-bidders and the whole bid. So the roof was actually a sub-bid to the general bid, and we know what that price was. The sub-bid for the roof was $135,000. And then the flooring, which, if you know how building projects are bid by public construction, we don't necessarily get like line items like a road project, you know, so many feet of asphalt, so many, you know, it's built bid lump sum, but the contractors were nice enough to give us approximations of what their bid was to entail. So, anyways, I'm suggesting maybe we try again and just bid the CDBG work, you know, for the roof, and based on a $135,000 bid that we got, I don't think we can include the floor.
No.
Yeah, it can be an alternate, you know. You know, so we would have enough adequate money based on that bid we received to do the roof. And we could put the flooring in as an alternate. And if it's reasonable, and maybe we want to kick in a little from other sources, maybe from one of those housing rehab projects that are moving along, you know, maybe we can make that project happen. And then I'm committed, or our agency would be committed to helping you restructure a bid separate for the entryway with your ARPA funds. And by doing so, we don't have to make it a DCAM certified, you know, bid. We can maybe look for local contractors, and we can thin it out a little bit, make it a little bit more simple, and just put the bid out.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of
Take
what
the
I'm
entryway right out.
Huh?
Take the entryway right out.
Yeah, and bid it separate locally, and maybe identify local contractors that are capable of doing that bid, because it would be lower threshold. We wouldn't have to have DCAM certifications. We could find people maybe that are qualified to do
Right.
that locally.
When they gave you the 135 for the roof, did they give you a number for the floor in the total bid?
Well, again, like I said, you know, they don't have to, because
No,
when they bid, it's bid lump sum, but they gave me some rough prices here. Flooring and abatement, so that was, part of the problem with the floor is there was asbestos. So, you know, it
In
takes
the tiles.
a lot of money to, it's not really a lot of work, but you have to dispose of it properly. And the abatement and the flooring was $60,000+.
Okay,
And you can't hold on to these numbers because
Right.
this contractor just kind of gave us these as being helpful.
Yeah.
You can't assume that's what we would get in the future.
So we had the 200 minus the 135 is 55, what's that, 65?
I'm sorry, where were you going with the
We had
question?
budgeted 200,000,
We had just over 200,000 for the whole shebang.
yeah, and they're
And we
saying
got
the
a
roof was
300
135.
Huh?
You
The
said the
roof was
roof,
135.
so take that away from 200, you get 65.
But hold on. So
I'm just throwing,
150-ish, I don't know the exact number, is what we have for CDBG.
okay.
Now,
is
locally.
that an
it was-
algebra term?
Ish.
Community Development Block Grant, okay? Sorry about that, I know.
No, I meant ish.
I toss around acronyms like everyone knows. I
The
apologize.
150-ish, he was questioning,
CDBG
yeah.
Is,
Yeah, it was
oh,
the
an
ish.
yeah, I don't know the exact number because there's some money allocated for the architect and some for the
Humor.
construction. Yeah,
Humor,
sorry,
it's okay.
I'm a very literal person. Let's just say 150 is what we have for construction with CDBG funds.
Okay,
And then there was gonna be 50,000 that was allocated through ARPA to
For the
make this
door.
total project about 200,000. But now we're gonna
Okay,
blow it up, separate them, focus on the CDBG, try to get the roof done, maybe the flooring, maybe some of it. And then I'll come back and circle back and if you folks want, try to help you structure a bid for the entryway locally.
well, the entryway, we have 50,000 allotted, right, through ARPA,
Yeah,
on our own.
And
So
that
maybe we
was-
could do that,
yeah.
I think we'd have to dumb it down a little bit too, because, you know, I think they were going too grand with walls
Yeah.
and windows and.
You need a ramp
just
and
a ramp, a
railings.
Covering and.
Ramp and
entryway,
railings, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's my recommendation for the path forward.
well, the roof's gotta get fixed, so.
Yeah.
I would go with that if we can, just for now, do the roof.
Okay, I guess I'll entertain a motion to restructure this, CDBG budget to, look for bids just for the roof
And an alternate for the floor.
and an alternate for the floor.
That leaves the ceiling tiles, we were hoping to get those too, but that's definitely out at this point in time.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any more discussion?
Nope.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's that one.
Is there a chance I could take that back with me? What's in your left hand there?
Oh, this one? Sure. This is for,
That's just extending that FY19.
right, the housing rehab.
Right.
Right. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to, extend the
FY19,
FY19 housing rehab.
well, with this, the CDBG grant.
Yeah.
Which part of it was housing rehab, right?
Right.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, any more discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
While I'm here, I just wanna, advise the town,
Aye.
I'm sure you
Aye.
know, that, oh, I'm sorry. I
It's okay.
interrupted.
Yeah, we had to vote.
Yeah.
I apologize. Got a lot of stuff going on in the spring right now.
And then we've got the contract amendment.
With Clark and Green.
That's the extension.
Well, this is the,
Let me explain that.
well, I have two different things here. I got the Clark and Green, and I got this. Was this the one we just voted on?
No, we have the CDBG,
I don't know what he's got.
he's got a CMRPC,
Oh,
Contract.
CMRPC.
yeah,
Okay,
contract.
so that's not you.
amendment.
I was unaware of that one, man. May I see what you have, sir?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this is different. I think he's good.
That's a request for our finance manager to formally, formally extend our services to the town. Just moving ours out, which sort of technically will end on December 30th.
Okay.
So,
And this is just for the administrative services?
correct.
It's typical, we do it every year. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to sign the contract amendment number 1 for the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission's administration services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Clark and Green.
You need this back, is that right?
Yes.
Do you need a
Well,
signature?
you know what, if you just wanna scan them all and give them to me tomorrow, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you want to explain the Clark and Green?
Yes,
Oh,
so
okay, sorry.
we had
So-
previously, the board had previously moved and authorized the amendment, giving them a little extra money for some of the services that they performed. But unfortunately, it escaped our attention that their actual agreement had actually expired on June 30th. So I'm asking the town to just now sort of amend that previous agreement to include their extension of services through June 30th. So I think it was in November that you had previously authorized an amendment that gave them a little bit more money, but we neglected to give them the extension that we should have. And so now I'm asking you to go back and correct that.
What is that gonna cost the town to?
The extension costs nothing, because you already had approved the amendment for their services.
Yeah.
So we just need to,
This says
We need to-
$1,204.50, is that?
which you had
that's the-
previously
We had, okay,
moved and authorized,
Today?
November.
Okay.
Again, I'll.
Well, you guys dropped
Okay,
the
so-
ball and didn't extend. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so we approved it,
Yep.
and
All
then
right,
you
so we
didn't
just gotta
follow
sign it.
through.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You still wanna sign for something that,
A lot of moving parts, you know?
right.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to sign this contract amendment that we already agreed to.
So moved.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now that that's over.
So I know you folks were successful in obtaining with the Massachusetts One Stop for Growth funds for, I think, the Old Town Hall.
Oh,
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
yep.
So, normally that program would have been, already launched. But I think because of the change of administration, it got delayed, and we should see the new program becoming available soon. So I just wanted you to be
Oh,
aware
good.
that next fiscal year program should be available soon.
Fantastic.
Which offers funding for planning, public works construction, a whole number of different things.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
this evening.
Thank you,
I appreciate your time.
thank you very much.
All right, we'll hear from
Send
you
all this-
tomorrow.
Yep, I'll send all this tomorrow.
Have a good night, folks. Merry
Good night.
You
Christmas.
too, Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. So the next thing we have here is the Mass DOT Chapter 90 reimbursement for Air Street, Brown Street, Mill Road, and King Road. It's 100% reimbursement. The amount expended to date is $376,845.82. And that's what we're looking for. I'll entertain a motion to sign that.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just so that people know out there, was for the paving projects that went on those streets. And Highway does it, they pay for it, and then we go for Chapter 90 money to be reimbursed.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The next one we have is from Mass DOT, the Winter Recovery Assistance Program. It's a reimbursement request for road materials in the amount of $118,101.30. So I'll entertain a motion to sign that.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next thing we have is a grant contract for the fire department. It's for turnout gear, boots and helmets.
Yeah, one of them, the 10,000 and some change there was for 30 pair of new NFPA boots and 30 structural helmets. That were all out of bid, and that's a state grant. And the other grant is a VFA grant for several pouches for brush fire equipment that the guy carried the radius. That's a matching grant, that's, but I have the funds to match that.
All right, I only have one here. All right, so the one's for the,
One's for VFA, it should say VFA at the top, contract, and then the other one is state equipment grant.
okay,
Did you find both of them, Ashley? I put one in the mailbox. The other one.
Nope, I don't have the other one.
Yeah.
no, we only have the boots.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
the boots and helmets. I thought it was included in that, but,
Did you check the mailbox?
I checked it this morning and I have a stack of stuff about this big that I didn't get to go through.
They look identical, you really gotta look in the corner. If you only got one there, though.
I only have the one that you actually handed to me,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I gotta get those ordered, and the only way I can do it is with a signed contract.
How much was, so this one here, let's deal with.
One's
this
for
one
$2,000, the other one was for 10,000 some change.
Right, this one's for $10,542.53.
That's the equipment grant.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to sign that grant.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now, it's just the one signature on there?
No, there's where the orange stickies are, underneath there, too.
Let's get that. All three of us, or just?
Just you.
All right, so that grant was for boots and helmets,
Yes,
and the other one is $2,000 for,
that's gonna be for radio pouches from the state also, VFA grant. That's a matching grant.
what's VFA?
It's the forest fire division of Department of Fire
Okay.
Services. So if I can get that to you and just get a signature, then I can order the stuff.
$2,000 for the radio pouches, you said?
Yeah, it was like $2,000.
I guess I'll entertain a motion to sign for that grant as well. And it'll just, if it's in
I'll
the-
print it out and get it over to the office.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, excellent. School committee member. We got a letter from Tim Canada, the school committee chair. It says the school committee met with 2 potential candidates last night and had a good conversation. Both candidates had a lot of good ideas. Matt Grant, Ron Ryle, and Tim were the voting members at the meeting. As a result, they voted to recommend Tanya Matthews for the vacant seat on the board. Tanya? I assume by your face that that's you.
That's me, I'm Tanya Matthews.
So, you care to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a parent to 5 kids. 3 are older and 2 are younger, and they're in this school district. I've had experienced, the older ones are all adults, so I've experienced raising kids to adulthood. We've made it, so kind of. And then we are very involved with the younger ones, with their education, and very much part of their special education too. And so my angle really comes from an advocate and very active role in my children's lives, and then as a result, the environment that they're in. So when we moved from Auburn a few years ago, which is a much bigger town than this one, I don't think I ever even thought about the school committee, but it has become apparent that when it's such a small town, that it is pretty necessary that people come forward and do what they need and what they can do to help the town. And I think I can help the town by being on the school board. I have experience professionally in different roles. Like I worked for early intervention with the kids and coordinating their care. And then I also was a foster parent, just retired in September, for 11 years for children with extra special needs. And then really being a voice for them and what they needed and all that kind of thing. So just really have a strong history and advocacy and making sure that children get what they need. And I would like to see that for the whole school, for the environment that my children are in and other children in the school. I'd like to see if we can't get more active members of the town to be more involved in their child's education and what's necessary as far as being a parent with a child in school. And I would like to see what I could do to help out in that regard.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Tanya Matthews to the school committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think she'll do a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming forward.
Yeah, thank you.
And, all right, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is, I believe, just until the election.
That's from what I've been told.
So if you want to keep doing it, you'll have to take papers out for that.
Okay.
Let's see. All right.
Even though that was the 3-year term?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
only
still-
fill until the next
until the-
election.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it'll be for,
So then there's a bunch of vote seats. I guess,
yeah,
okay.
but it'll be listed on the ballot that it's for 2 years or whatever to finish the.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I guess that's, we did everything, right?
That's it for agenda items.
All right. Right, public comment period. That's you guys.
That's me.
Welcome.
All right. Yeah, my name is Jamie Gilman. I've been a town resident for about 30 years now. I am involved with the Treasure Valley Reservation. I'm on the Trails Committee there. I'm also on the subcommittee for the Ware River Advisory Committee for Trails. Spend a lot of time outside. And bothers me that I'm driving 25, 30 minutes to get to where there's a trail or kind of get outside. And I happened to spend some time looking through the North Brookfield town website, saw on the published master plan, and one of the things in the master plan was on question 16, the 3 top responses were bike trails, theater, and hiking trails. And my experience kind of riding and hiking locally is that what little trail we have in town is remarkably heavily trafficked. Just recently we had snow a while back, and some trails that I thought were kind of very unknown, and not very traveled, 24 hours later, they were packed right down. So clearly, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Michael Hinckley and I have started our paperwork to try to get ourselves on the town forest park committee. They try to help some maintenance of the trail that's already there and potentially maybe advocate for a little bit more of what's left of that property. But having spent some time looking at maps of North Brookfield and looking at some of the property that the town actually owns, I'm here to try to get a feel of who to talk to and how to, if there's a possibility of having a conversation with on what's available and what can be done. North Brookfield unfortunately has a shortage of public open space when compared to other towns. I have a good friend, Steve Salvador up in Barry, who has done a remarkable job taking some public property and private property and kind of putting some trail networks together. And most recently, he did a nice network on the town farm plot, town farm road in Barry. Absolute stunning success. And not for, and I say this mainly of a mountain biker, but multi-use trails, hiking, biking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, whatever. And it's a big hit. It's a big hit. But North Brookfield unfortunately doesn't have large tracts of land. What we do have, looking at the map, are plots kind of spaced apart. Personally, that for me, as a biker, putting a ride together by stringing some spots together for 15, 20-mile ride, but also the benefit to the town is that you've spread small networks out to different neighborhoods. And as what I've seen from checking out different spots in town, you've got the rail trail, obviously we talked about earlier. There's a little plot off of the rail trail. You've got some folks who live in that area who are out walking that area. The town forest, the Wendemuth property. It's so I think there is obviously there's a need. There's a desire for it. I've got some experience. I've got some relationships with folks who, this is kind of what we do, and I'd just like to start a conversation. And is there an opportunity in North Brookfield? Right now, there is the Ware River Watershed is reviewing their public access, and depending on what your view of government is, it can be a rather disappointing experience sitting through those meetings.
Up in Rutland,
Yes.
prison camps?
4 towns, 25,000 acres. Being restricted because Boston area may need water someday, may need more than what they have. So those restrictions are getting tighter. A lot of the land outside, a lot of the open space outside of town is not public space. It's privately owned, that's Treasure Valley. And that land is available as long as Treasure Valley is viable, which looking at scouts these days doesn't give you the warm and fuzzy.
They're dwindling.
They're dwindling. Yeah. So, really like to see what is doable, what can be done.
Okay, so basically you want to look at the open space that is owned by the town and develop bike trails and hike trails,
Multi-use trails.
multi-use trails.
Multi-use trails.
Non-motorized.
Non-motorized,
You have
passive
to-
recreation.
You have to emphasize
Now, my
that.
problem is I don't know the details with the different plots. there are different classifications. There's some conservation land in North Brookfield, there's town forest, actually, there's a couple town forests if you look at the map. And then there are various other,
There's what?
So like 6.
Yeah.
and there are other plots that are just designated as owned by the town of North Brookfield. So not knowing really the details, really want to understand, different aspects of the property before even looking at it or trying to pose a proposal to.
I think conservation would probably be your first stop. As far as I'm concerned, if you came to us and said, hey, I want to do a trail here, and this is the issue, as long as there's no other issues that would prevent you from doing it, I don't see why I would be against it.
Typically, the way something that would play out would be, surveying and looking at it, kind of flagging it out and looking for the town for some kind of approval.
Because we actually had a guy come in years ago, probably 4 or 5 years now, and he offered to build a
Kayakers?
design and build the disc golf course. And there were no restrictions on that. It's in the town forest park. It's a 9-hole course he designed, he built. There's people that play it that go in and mow and weed whack. John's brought
The rail trail crew.
his crew over there to help out. And a lot of people use it. So as long as there's no, like wanton destruction, or any other conservation restrictions, I don't see why I'd have a problem with it. I can't speak for Brooke or John, but if you brought us a plan that's okay with conservation,
Yeah,
then,
so that's what I say, it goes through the right
So
groups.
you have to deal with
Yeah.
parking and everything too, because all these
Yeah.
places don't, the only one that has parking is down there, the town forest, really, Windemith.
Right.
And Windemith they're private, they're not town.
They're
property.
East Club and Land Trust.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
not, you'd have to go through them to,
So-
I don't know if they'd allow bikes on their trip, I don't know.
Oh, they're
You'd have-
very,
You'd have to go
Yeah.
with
very,
them, yeah.
Good about that.
well aware of the
Yep,
forests.
yep, yep.
I guess so conservation, a pointed question, I guess, is Conservation Commission understands the different aspects of the different properties? Or is-
Well, they could tell you if there's wetlands on there,
yeah. And that's the biggest restriction
Yeah.
that there would be.
It's,
Brandon.
I was on the master plan committee, and I'm also on conservation and planning board. but,
Okay.
uh,
You gotta have in the
He's the
room.
guy.
But the master plan you're looking at is our old one. Our new one should be coming out, being published very soon, and we did look at things like that. So there should be more information for what you're looking for
Okay.
in the new updated master plan. Be happy to have you at a conservation meeting or whatever,
Okay.
just to talk to you about your vision or whatever. Because that open space and recreation is a big part, it's actually a separate part of the master plan. Open space and recreation is a big part of the master plan, so.
It's really just trying to understand, what's
Right.
available.
Right, yeah, so.
and 5 of
a lot of that
those,
information
5
should
of
be-
those lots almost got taken by solar projects,
Right, well, yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Okay,
There's still open space.
okay. So we'll finish our paperwork with the town forest committee thing, and then, have the conservation.
Another good resource would be the town assessors. 'Cause you could,
Okay.
any property that you have the address to or
Or
ask, they
email
can tell
them
you
there.
a lot about
Thank
it.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've been-
Assessors.
The current assessors have been doing it for quite some time, so
Mhm.
they're pretty knowledgeable.
Okay, and would I understand this body to be the body that would approve a proposal?
Ultimately, I think yes,
Okay.
because town property is,
Okay,
we oversee it, so.
I think as long as the abutters don't care, don't go
Yeah,
close.
they'd probably have to be in a butters hearing too.
Yeah, so that you're not going close to the abutters' privacy and whatnot on the town property, because a lot of town property abuts residential housing and
Right,
everything, so.
right. That-
So like you're in the woods everywhere here. A lot of places, there's no houses next to it or whatever, so.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing what you bring us.
Yeah.
All right. Public comment period. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to bring this to the board's attention. Mass Trails grants are coming due in February. I went to the legislative forum they just had a couple weeks ago in West Boylston on Mass Trails. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of money out there right now. So I thought I'd print this out for John so he can go through it, but it's available online. I'll give information out, but they need a lot of details. But apparently we can, now it's not just for construction. We can get money for maintenance or equipment. So maybe we could look into
That'd be cool.
getting what we need for, those compact tractor or something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
I'll just hand this out and, if you want me to kind of go over this with you at any point, help out if I can, be happy to.
Cool.
So, now's the time to start
Applying,
looking for those
yeah.
funds.
I know Dale tried twice and
Yeah.
it just didn't, I don't know if he didn't dot the I or whatever, but.
Yeah, I think that, I think what the issue was mainly was back then for construction, they want to do engineering, all this stuff. But
Right.
I think we can just focus on, if you want
Equipment
to
and
focus
repairs
on
and-
equipment or
yeah.
maintenance, or, if you want to think about the bridge at some point too. I
Mhm.
mean, I think
Yeah.
the equipment would be good for now, and maybe bridge next year or whatever, see how it goes, but I'd be happy to work with anybody on this,
Yeah.
see if we can come up with something.
Sure.
Fine.
Yeah. Go for it.
2 minutes?
2 minutes, I can do it in 2 minutes. This is kind of from me, but the board also. We want to thank the Algu family for bringing a much-needed addition to our town. North Brookfield Farms Gas Station and Convenience Store had its belated grand opening and ribbon cutting today. I don't know, it was posted online, didn't really get a whole lot of publicity, but there were many vendors there. They had free giveaways, food, donuts, and hot dogs. State Rep Donnie Berthium came by, along with Santa Claus. He seems to know where there's a place to sit and give out candy canes. He's a good guy. And Kevin Flanders from the New Leader was there, and Paula we met. They were both from the Quabog Current. They were both invited. Price for regular gas was under $3 for the time of the grand opening. And crispy crunchy chicken was available after 10 o'clock, along with all the other things that they have. Once again, thank you to the Algu family for bringing us a gas station, much needed, and convenience store. We haven't had one in around 20 years, I'm not sure. There were 6 gas stations, filling stations, as I was growing up in town, and now we have another one, and it sits right in the center of town, and it's a good fit. Getting rid of those old buildings down there was a good thing for the town, I think. So, thank you again to the Algu family.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Aldu. Oh, look out! Oh, well.
I got it.
That's the mic drop.
I know, the mic drop.
I was supposed to
Thank you.
do that. I missed my calling.
I missed your calling. All right. So I guess that's everything for tonight. I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
See you in 2 weeks.
In the new year.